Hi friends, welcome back to Nita Crochets. My name is Anita. You guys have really showed so much love for this dress. The most of you who have been following my journey of making it on my TikTok. And I finally made it. I am so glad that we are now getting into the tutorial on how to make it. This was a tutorial request by Anthony Ife in my community tab. And also, this is an original design by Wool and Co. Please look for her on TikTok. That's why I found her channel, and she has several of these dresses in different designs. But let's try this one because it's the one that made waves. Her version of this dress is definitely better, but yes, this is my way. And if you didn't know, our memberships are open, and this is one of the dresses we recently added to the membership. So please join membership. Let's get into what we need and get started. So yes, I am going to be working with this yarn. This is DK yarn. Okay, it says for ply, but this is DK yarn. Okay, so you can use any cotton DK yarn that is available to you. And then we are going to need a tape measure. This is not something I want you to skip. This you need a pair of scissors, and I'm going to be working with a 4mm hook. Then you're going to need stitch markers. So let's get into the tutorial and get started. So first off, you're going to measure your body from the top of your shoulder all the way down. Make sure that while you measure, you measure from the front so that you go all the way around the curve of your bust, and then all the way down your under bust, and all the way down until where you want your dress to end. Okay, so measure from the top of your shoulder to the bottom, midway your thigh, or more than that if you want your dress to be longer than that. Okay, so just measure up to the length that you truly want your dress to end, and then you're going to take a book and note down the measurements that you made. I think I personally had about, from top to bottom, I think I did about 31 inches. Okay, from top to bottom. I don't know what you have. So we are going to work chains that are equivalent to the number of inches that you got from your measurement. Once you have the inches that you need, you're going to get your yarn and make a slip knot. Just like that. Okay. Then we are going to work chains equivalent to the measurements that we got. So for me, it was 31 inches, and I'm going to work chains that are long enough. I'm going to work a cord that is long enough to meet 31 inches. Make sure that you're not stretching the cord at any one point. So once you have your chains and you have measured that they make up to 31 inches, okay, I'll just measure this for myself just to be sure. Yeah, so for me, you can see it measures up to 31 inches. So once I am there, I'm going to get into the second chain stitch from the hook, and I'm going to work 1 single crochet, and then I will work 1 single crochet into the next chain stitch, 1 single crochet into the next, and I'm just going to continue working 1 single crochet into every chain stitch all the way until I come to the end of my row. So just work your single crochets until the end of the row, and I'm going to meet you there to show you what to do. Okay, so here we are at the end of our row. This is how our cord looks like. Now we are going to get back to measuring. You're going to measure the top of your from the top of your shoulder all the way to just under your bust. Okay, right under your bust, like where your bra sits. Okay, yes, and then note down those measurements. Then you're going to get your tape measure and measure them. First of all, I made a mistake in this clip. You had to measure from the other side, like where our row started from, not where our row ended. Okay, so measure from the top of your row, because that's where I want the top part to be, and I want us to, right now where our row has ended, I want that to be the bottom. So the measurements you get from your shoulder to your under bust should be measured on the other side of the row. I personally had about 12 inches, but looking at what my dress looks like, I feel like I should have taken like 11 inches and then added that 12 inch onto my waist area. Okay, so it's up to you. Yes, I measured that, and then you get your stitch marker and place it into the stitch that is in line with your measurements. Yeah, so like you can see, I placed my stitch marker into the stitch that was in line with the 12 inches, and then I measured 6 inches for my underbust, from my underbust to my lower waist, but I think I should have taken 7 inches instead and made the upper bit to be 1 inch shorter. So like you can see here into this clip, I replaced everything where it had to be at the top of my row. From there up to where the pink stitch marker is the top of my shoulder to my underbust, and then from the pink stitch marker going to the red stitch marker is the area for my waist, okay, or my belly. So you take your measurements in that kind of manner. Take your belly measurements from the underbust all the way to your lower waist, and then measure it. Then what will be left all the way down to the end of our row is the skirt of our dress, okay? So this is the upper bit of our body, and then starting from the red stitch marker going down is the skirt of our dress, or the lower bit of our body. I hope now that is understood, okay? So this side should be longer than the top, okay, slightly longer than our shoulder to underbust length. All right, now let's get into working into these areas and feeding the stitches into the areas we have marked. All right, I'm going to chain one, turn my work into this very first stitch. I'm going to work 1/2 double crochet, and then work 1/2 double crochet into this next stitch, work a half double crochet in the next stitch, and just continue working 1/2 double crochet into every stitch all the way until the marked stitch. Okay, so you're going to work your 1/2 double crochet until you get into the marked stitch. So it's from here that I'm going to come back and then show you what to do. Okay, so this is what we have. Okay, I've worked from this side up to here. Now when you get to this point, I just wanted to show you what to do. You're going to take out your stitch marker. Into what was the marked stitch, you're going to work a half double crochet, and then you're going to shift your stitch marker and place it into our newly worked half double crochet, because we need to keep track of where else we are going to have the skirt of our dress start from. So now we are into the zone of our belly. So here we are going to work single crochets. Now into this next stitch, I'm going to work a single crochet and work 1 single crochet in the next, and I'm going to continue working 1 single crochet into every stitch until the stitch before the marked stitch right here. Okay, so that's where I'm going to meet you and then show you what to do. Okay, so like you can see, I have come to the stitch before the marked stitch, and for me this is where my belly is going to stop. So from here I'm going to take out the stitch marker, and into what was the marked stitch I'm going to work 1/2 double crochet, and then I'm going to get my stitch marker and place it into the half double crochet we just worked. From here I am now going to continue working 1/2 double crochet in every stitch until we come to the end of the row. So let me meet you at the end of the row right here, and then I will show you what to do. We are here at the end of our row. This is how my work looks like. At this time I am at the top of my work. You should actually know your top, because you'll mistake your bottom to your top. I obviously know that the bottom should be longer, slightly longer than the top, okay? But yes, here we are going to chain one, and we are going to work 1/2 double crochet into our very first stitch. Oh yeah, when you chain one, you turn your work, okay? So work your 1/2 double crochet and also work 1/2 double crochet in the next stitch. And this is what we are going to repeat, okay? All the way until the marked stitch right here. Please remember that the half double crochets stop at the marked stitch, okay? At the marked stitch. So work your half double crochet until this point, and then when you get here, make sure that you shift your stitch marker and place it into your newly worked half double crochet stitch. So let me meet you guys there and then show you what to do. Okay, so here we are. We have worked our half double crochets, okay, all the way until this point. So right now I've already shifted my stitch marker and placed it into the stitch. Yeah, this stitch that is going to help us know where our next, stitches should be for the upper bit. Now going forward, I am in the area that is for my belly, so, or my underbust. So here I'm going to start working one single crochet, work a single crochet in the next stitch, and you're just going to continue working one single crochet into every stitch all the way until the stitch before the marked stitch. Remember I told you the marked stitches is not even usually, is where you must either stop your half double crochets or start your half double crochets. So basically the marked stitch should have a half double crochet in it, not a single crochet in it. Okay, so work your single crochets all the way until the stitch before the marked stitch. This will mark the end of our belly or lower waist, and then I'm going to get back to show you how to come to the end of your project. Now here we are into this marked stitch. We are going to get it and get our stitch marker out and work our half double crochet, and then get our stitch marker and place it into our newly worked half double crochet, so it helps us mark where our next stitches are going to be. Then from here we are going to work one half double crochet into the next stitch, and then continue working one half double crochet into the next stitch, and you're just going to continue working one half double crochet into every stitch all the way until you come to the end of your row right here. Okay, so the way we have worked this row and the previous row is exactly what you're going to repeat. Okay, you're going to repeat this, making sure that where we have half double crochets you work half double crochets, and where we have single crochets you work single crochets. Then down here you work your half double crochets. So going forward, the only measurements we are going to keep in mind and also consider are the measurements that are going to be at our belly section. Okay, so this is the only width that we are going to consider. Why? Up here is going to be wider since we are working half double crochets, so it is seemingly going to be more wider than what down here will be. Oh, sorry, than what the belly section will be. So to help us have something that that all of us can work with, I'm going to be considering measurements, width measurements for my belly section. So you're going to repeat these rows until you have a width of 2.5 inches, that is for size small, and then 3 inches for size medium. I am working a size medium personally, and then you should have 3.5 inches for a size large. Okay, yes, so I'm going to meet you after you have that width, measuring from your belly section width, and then I'll show you what to do next. So I have worked my way until this point, and right now, like I told you, going forward we are considering the width that is in between the section that I said is paired for our belly. And right now, like you can see, it's 3 inches. Okay, yes, it is 3 inches of width, and I'm working a size medium. Remember, this width right now is also width that is going to sit at the top of your shoulder. Okay, so you don't want this to be too wide. For me right now, up here measures up to 4 inches, and for a size medium, for this to rest on your shoulder, this is very okay. So this width applies to our shoulder but also contributes to our bust, if you get what I mean. Okay, so now I am confident that what we have is enough for what we need. Going forward, I am going to be working the curve that has to rest, the curve that is going to like go down your collarbone. Yeah, yes, go down your collarbone from your shoulder. So at this moment you need to make sure that your last row is at the bottom where we have the skirt of the dress. Okay, because if the some of you are at the top and then the some of us are at the bottom, it's going to confuse the pattern. So if you are at the top, please work one row to bring you to the bottom of your work, so that we can all make sure that we are on the same side. Now to work the next row, you're going to chain one and you will turn your work. I've already turned mine, and you're going to work 1/2 double crochet into the very first stitch, and then we shall work 1/2 double crochet into the next stitch, and we are going to continue working 1/2 double crochet into every stitch. So you're going to work this row on your own, but I just want to explain this. Work your 1/2 double crochet in every stitch all the way until the marked stitch right here, and then from here you're going to work 1 single crochet into every stitch until the stitch before the marked stitch, and then when you get here, you will work 1/2 double crochet into every stitch until you have 5 stitches left to end your row. So count 5 stitches backwards. 1 2 yeah 1 2 3 4 5. So I'm going to meet you right here at the stitch that leaves you with 5 stitches unworked. Okay, that's where I'm going to meet you and then show you what to do. So here we are. We have 5 stitches left to come to the end of our row. This side we worked our row as normally as we have been doing. So now here we are going to work 2 half double crochets together into the next 2 stitches. So that means we are going to leave 3 stitches unworked. Okay, then we are going to chain 2. This counts as a half double crochet stitch. Turn your work, and you're going to skip the first stitch, get into the next and work an incomplete half double crochet, then yarn over, also work an incomplete half double crochet in the next stitch. So you should have 5 loops on your hook, and then you will yarn over and pull through all the 5 loops. So this counts as a 3 half double crochet together. Okay, so now yarn over and work 1 half double crochet into the next stitch, work another half double crochet in the next, 1 half double crochet into the next, and for this row you're going to just work your 1 half double crochet into every stitch where you have to have half double crochets. When you get to the single crochets, you work your single crochets, and then when you get to the half double crochets at the bottom, you also work half double crochets. Okay, so I'm going to let you work this row, and then I'm going to meet you on the next row to show you what to do. I'm at the end of my row, just like you can see, and now we are going to start the next row. So you're going to chain 1, turn your work, and as usual you will work your half double crochets. Obviously I'm not going to work the row with you. I just need you to work your half double crochets where there are half double crochets and single crochets where there are single crochets, and you're going to do this all the way until you have 2 stitches left to end your row. So this should be the first stitch and this should be the second. Let me see. No, this should be the first and this should be the second. So I'm going to meet you right here. Okay, when you have 2 stitches to end your row. Okay, so here we are. I am at the end of my row. I have 2 stitches left to end my row, this and this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to work 2 single crochets together into these last 2 stitches, just like that. Okay, so you see the curve it's created. Yes, very smooth, not too deep, but it is there. So here to start the next row, we shall chain 1 and turn our work. Now I'm just working this one row with you guys, and then I'm going to let you work the rest of the rows on your own. So here you will work 1 half double crochet into the very first stitch, and then work 1 half double crochet into the next stitch, and you're just going to continue working 1 half double crochet in every stitch where there are half double crochets and single crochets where there are single crochets. Okay, so you see that. So do this all the way until the end of the row, and then repeat that and repeat that and repeat that until you have 6 inches of width for a size medium, 5 inches of width for a size small, and 7 inches of width for a size large. Okay, so size small should have 5 inches. So you're going to work your rows repeatedly, okay, until you have 5 inches, so that we make sure that this point up here is kept straight. Okay, because now we are down our neck, so this should be kept straight until we have 5 inches of width, okay, measuring from our belly section. Yeah, 5 inches of width for a size small, and then 6 inches of width for a size medium, and 7 inches of width for a size large. But make sure that your very last row should meet you at the bottom of your work, okay? I told you we are making sure that we keep at the bottom of our work right here. So I have finished working up to the width I feel like is enough for the size I'm working for. I am working for a size medium, and right now I have a width of 6 inches. Remember I told you we are considering the waist width here where we have the single crochets, okay? That's where we are measuring. We are not measuring this side because this way is bound to be wider since we are working half double crochets there. So yeah, here I have 6 inches. I think I'm about like 1 row past 6 inches, but yes, 6 inches like you can see. So I counted my rows right here from where I stopped working the decrease. Let me just increase this a little bit. So I counted from where I stopped working my decrease when I was trying to carve my neckline here, and I have about 11 rows. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to work normal rows of half double crochets where they have to be half double crochets, and single crochet where I have to work single crochets, and then half double crochets where I have to work half double crochets. And I'm going to repeat that for the next 11 rows so that I match this to I match what I'm about to make here to what I have here before I can now start to carve on this other side, okay? So at this point, clearly there is nothing we are changing about what we were already doing, but we are just now trying to make sure that the next number of stitches, to make this even easier for you, you could just put a stitch marker into this stitch so that you know from where you're counting your next 11 rows or next whatever rows that you have counted. For whichever size that you're making, count the number of rows that you have here before you started to the number of rows that you have before you right after you worked your very last decrease, which was here. So you count the number of rows that you have, and then that's what you're going to feed on to this side before we start to carve the other side as well. So yes, at this point it's the very same thing that we are going to do. You're going to chain one and turn your work, and into the very first stitch here you're going to work your half double crochet and follow through with 1 half double crochet into every stitch until the marked stitch. Okay, so you work this all the way until the marked stitch here, and then from here you're going to work single crochets all the way until the stitch before the marked stitch over here. Then starting from the marked stitch you work 1 half double crochet in every stitch all the way until the end. So you're going to repeat that and repeat that until you have 11 rows, or you have the number of rows that you have on this side, because we are working different sizes. So I know a size small could possibly be having about 9 rows or more or less, I don't know, but yes, just count your rows from the last row that you worked your decrease and then feed it onto this side. And I'm going to get back and show you what we have and then how to carve the other side of the neckline. So here I am. I have worked all the rows I needed to match this side to this side, like you can see. Okay, now I am going to start increasing so that I have this sort of curve on this side as well. All right, so yes, we are now going to start increasing. Now for me, I am at the bottom of my work, so that's where I'm going to pick it up. That's where I'm going to pick it up from. So here you're going to chain one and turn your work. And you're going to work 1 half double crochet into the very first stitch. Continue working 1 half double crochet into every stitch until the marked stitch, and then work your single crochets where you have to have single crochets, and work your double crochets all the way until the end of the row. So I'm going to meet you at the end of the row to show you how to work your increase. So from here you're going to work your double crochets all the way up to here, Then from here you work your single crochets all the way up to here before the marked stitch, and into the marked stitch you start your half double crochets all the way until the end of the row, where until you have one stitch to end your row right here. Okay, so I'm going to meet you right here with one stitch to end the row, and then I show you what we do into the very last stitch. So here we are. I'm almost at the end of my row. This is what I'm going to do. Okay, so once you have one stitch left, like you can see, I have worked my row. Once you have one stitch left to end your row, you're going to get into this very last stitch and you're going to work 2 half double crochets all in this very same stitch. So the increase is not yet visible, but you will see as we go. Now to start the next row, you will chain 1 and turn your work. Then here you're going to work 2 half double, no, we are going to work 3 half double crochets all in this very same stitch, just like this. Okay, and then we shall work 1 half double crochet into every stitch. Okay, so now it is starting to be visible. You see what we have this side and what we have here. So now you're going to continue with your half double crochets where you have to put half double crochets, and then put your single crochets where you have to put single crochets, and your half double crochets where you have to put half double crochets. Okay, and once you come to the end of your row, you will still do that same thing, work your half double crochets and single crochets, and I'm going to meet you on the next row when you have one stitch to end the row. So I'm going to meet you on the next row to show you how to end the next row. So I didn't want to leave you guys, I just wanted to show you I have come to the end of my row, and now I'm going to work my way back up, okay, until I have one stitch to end my row. Okay, so I'm going to let you guys work your way back up because you already know what we have to do, and I'm going to meet you right here when you have one stitch to end your row. Then I'll show you what to do. So here I am, I have one stitch to end my row, like you can see. So what I'm going to do is, oh no, there are 2 stitches. Let me work my half double crochet here. So this is the last stitch. So in here I'm going to work 2 half double crochets all in this very same stitch, just like that. So if you can see at this point, it's like we are here, okay, but then we do have this extension of the 3 stitches which we left unworked when we were starting our decrease here. So what we are going to do is we are going to chain 4, just like that. And after chaining 4, that means we are set and ready. Okay, what we shall do is we shall get into the second chain stitch from the hook and work a half double crochet, work 1 half double crochet into this next chain stitch, okay, and then work 1 half double crochet into this next chain stitch. Just done this because it was sort of like flipped. And once you have that, that means we have regained our 3 stitches which were up here, like you can see, and we have regained them over here. So this is going to make this side and this side look even. You see that? So from here we are going to start working 1 half double crochet into every stitch. See that? So work your 1/2 double crochet into every stitch all the way until the end of the half double crochets, which is here in the marked stitch. Then from here you work your single crochets all the way until the stitch before the next marked stitch. After that you work 1/2 double crochet all the way until the end of the row. So I'm going to come back and just explain something on the next row that helps us work the next rows on our own. Then we see that our front piece is complete. So I have come to the end of my row, just like you can see, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to be working my double crochets, my half double crochets, single crochets and half double crochets all the way, repeatedly keeping this row straight, because now I am going to be working the same number of rows as I have on this shoulder panel. Like you can see, I already have this one row complete. Okay, so that means we eliminate this and then count 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11. So we are going to work 11 more rows of just working our half double crochets where they are half double crochets, single crochets where they are single crochets, and half double crochets where we have half double crochets. So yes, do that repeatedly until the width over here is the very same width you have on the shoulder onto this side. And after that, I'm going to meet you guys and then show you how to work your back panel. So at this point, your front piece should look like this. You will cut your yarn at a length, leaving a yarn end that will be used to stitch this to the back piece. Let's get into working our back piece. To make this even simpler, what you will do is you're going to go to your front piece and count the number of stitches you had from the top of your shoulder all the way to where you wanted the length of your dress to be. Okay, count the number of stitches that you have, and then come here and work the very same number of chains as your foundation chains, then add one chain extra at the end to help us start our very first row. Okay, so once you have worked your chains, you're going to do similar to what we did with the front piece. Get into the second chain stitch from the hook and work a single crochet, and you will work one single crochet into every stitch until you come to the end of it. Okay, to the end of your row. Then you're going to count the stitches that you had from the top of your shoulder all the way to where your underbust was, and then mark them as you did with your first piece, okay, or your front piece. And then also count the stitches that you have along the underbust to lower waist, and also mark the stitch on this piece as well, okay, to just make sure that we have the very same result as our front piece. Okay, now that we have marked our points on this back piece as well, so we shall chain one and work our half double crochets where we have to have half double crochets. And like you can see, I have my half double crochets complete. From here I do have to work my half double crochet into that stitch, which was the marked stitch. So you'll take out your stitch marker and then work your half double crochet, replace your stitch marker. This is clearly not any different from what we did with our front piece. So from there you will work your single crochets along the section that we marked for our belly. Work your single crochets into that section. After that you get to working your half double crochets along the section that we spared for the upper bit of our dress. Okay, so you're going to repeat this until you have the very same number of rows for your shoulder as you have with your front piece. So that means our belly section will measure up to 3 inches for a size medium, 2.5 inches for a size small, and 3.5 inches for a size large, just like we did or we had initially when we were working our front piece. So let me meet you guys there, then show you how we can work the neck curve or the neckline for the back piece. Make sure that your last row is at the bottom where we have the skirt of the dress. Okay, now to work the next row, you're going to chain one and you will turn your work. I've already turned mine, and we're going to work 1/2 double crochet into the very first stitch, and then we shall work 1/2 double crochet into the next stitch, and we are going to continue working 1/2 double crochet into every stitch. So you're going to work this row on your own, but I just want to explain this. Work your 1/2 double crochet in every stitch all the way until the marked stitch right here, and then from here you're going to work one single crochet into every stitch until the stitch before the marked stitch, And then when you get here, you will work 1/2 double crochet into every stitch until you have 5 stitches left to end your row. We have 5 stitches left to come to the end of our row. This side we worked our row as normally as we have been doing. So now here what we are going to do is we are going to yarn over and work 2 half double crochets together into the next 2 stitches. Okay, so here is the difference I want us to know and also first understand before we go forward. So for me, this is my back piece, okay, and we have finished working this decrease, and now this is the front. Okay, now the thing about the back and the front, at the front we can have this deep curve. Okay, at the front we can have this deep curve for our neckline, but this we cannot do to the back. The back should have a curve that is not steep or deep, if you get what I mean. So the shoulder width can be similar, just like you can see, it can be the same shoulder width, but when we get to this curve right here, the back piece should have a curve that is shallower than the front curve. Okay, so because of that, here we had to have 3 rows of a decrease. We had to have 3 rows, okay, of a decrease, but here at the back we are only going to have 1 row of the decrease. Okay, why? We want to keep the curve at the back to be shallow. Okay, yes, because that's the only way to differentiate the front from the back, and also to have something that pretty much gives you a realistic dress. At this point we are going to chain 1 and turn our work just like that, and then I'm going to work 1/2 double crochet into the very first stitch, and then work 1/2 double crochet in the next, work 1/2 double crochet into the next. I'm going to continue working 1/2 double crochet where I have to have a half double crochet, and then my single crochets where I have to have single crochets, and half double crochets where I have to have half double crochets. And I'm going to repeat this and repeat this until I have 6 inches of width. Actually, that's for size medium, 5 inches for size small, and then 7 inches for size large. So at this point, I feel like you should even not be using your tape measure as much. You should just be counting the stitches, or the number of rows that you have on your front piece. Okay, you will just count the number of rows that go straight. Okay, but remember, for us, because we are taking an example from our front piece, we are starting to count from the second row of decrease. Why? Because here we did not have the decrease going on for 3 rows. We had the decrease going on for just 1 row before we started to work straight. So you start counting from right here on the second row of decrease, and then you count how many rows you have kept straight all the way to this side, okay, leaving you 1 row of decrease. So you count all these rows, and then you're going to fit them on here before I get back to show you how to go up on this side. Yes, how to go up on the back piece so that we get at the top of our left shoulder for the back piece. Okay, so let me let you work your rows all through, and I'm going to meet you once you're closest to working the shoulder for your back piece, the second shoulder for your back piece, and then I'll show you what to do. So I failed to find the clip that had me done with the rows I had to work, so I'm just taking an example with my front piece clip. Okay, so like you can see, once you have worked all the rows that you need to have across, okay, before you now work the curve on the other side, this is how your work should look like. Okay, yeah, the curve here is deeper because I am using a clip from my front piece, but just to show you now how to work your very first row of increase for the curve, for the left side curve of your back piece, You must be at the bottom of your row like I have always told you, and then you're going to chain one, turn your work, and you will work one half double crochet into every stitch where you need to have half double crochets, and then work your single crochets where you need to have single crochets. And I'm going to meet you right up at the top of our row when you have one stitch to end your row. Okay, so work your half double crochets and single crochets, and then work your half double crochets all the way up, going up until you have one stitch to end your row right there. That's where I'm going to meet you, right there. So here we are. I'm almost at the end of my row. This is what I'm going to do. Okay. So once you have one stitch left, like you can see, I have worked my row. Once you have one stitch left to end your row, you're going to get into this very last stitch and you're going to work 2 half double crochets all in this very same stitch. Now this is your actual back piece. This is how it should look like. All right, now here we are at the end of our row, like you can see. And what I'm going to do is, because I want to match the length here to this side, since I finished to work the width that matches the width that I do have on the other piece of mine. But if you're new and you were still, working with your tape measure, at this point you should have about 9 inches. That's about 3/4. Yeah, 3/4. And then size small, should have 7.5. Size large should have, initially it was 7 plus 3.5. Size large should have 10.5, yes, width over here. And almost 10.5, almost 9 inches, and then almost 7.5. Yeah. So right now we want to work an increase that gives us this little curve that we have on this side. So since we have finished working the increase, we are now going to chain 4. So the chain 4 is more like the 3 stitches that we left unworked over here, and then the 4th chain is the one that is going to help us turn to start our next row. So after chaining 4, you will turn your work and into the second chain stitch from the hook, which is this one here. You're going to work a half double crochet, work 1 half double crochet into this next stitch, just like that, 1 half double crochet into the 3rd stitch. So now we have gotten back our 3 stitches that are on this side. So that means right now the stitches we have are going to be the very same number of stitches that we have on our shoulder pad. So from here we just continue working 1 half double crochet into every stitch until you get to the single crochets. When you get to the single crochets, you also work 1 single crochet until you get to the half double crochets at the bottom. And so after you come to the end of this row, you're going to just continue repeating the half double crochets and single crochets all the way until the end of the row, so that we have the same width here and here. Okay, so for the same number of rows that you have on this side, it's the same number of rows that you're going to work on this side. Remember, when you're ending your row, we started with a single crochet row, so that means once you work all these half double crochet rows and you have 1 single crochet row left, it's what you will use to end the row on the shoulder of this side. All right, yes, so your last row should be a single crochet row to match what we have on this side when we were starting the row. So let me meet you after you have this piece complete, and then I can show you how we can join the 2 of them to create a dress. I finished working my back and front piece, and I just want to show you guys how the both of them look like. I have made sure to cut my yarn from a length so that I can use the yarn end to just stitch the ends of the two parts together to close it up. So this is what we have. I've already laid them onto each other, so because I intend to now join them. So this one that has a deeper curve is the front, and this one whose curve is slightly slightly shallow is the back. So this is how they're going to be laid onto each other, just like this. So you're going to make sure that you have turned them in out so that now we can stitch them together. But before we do that, we are going to first measure up provision for our sleeve. So to do that, we are going to get our tape measure, and we are going to measure from the top of our work all the way. I measured 9 inches and I was working a size medium, so size large should measure 10 inches, but size small and medium can have 9 inches. Just in case you find that the sleeve is too wide for you, you can still go up a few inches and see that you have a perfect sleeve for your own self that does not reveal your side boob. Okay, so measure that on all pieces and mark up the stitch that is in line with the 9 inches or 10 inches that you have. After that, you pin that spot, because we are going to be hand sewing from that spot going down, or from the bottom up to that spot. Okay, so yes. Now, do you remember the yarn ends I told you to leave so that we use them to stitch our pieces together? Yes, that's what we are going to use. Now, you can literally just crochet the edges together by working single crochets into every stitch on either side, okay? Joining stitch by stitch all the way until our marked point, which was where we marked the bottom of our sleeve. Or you can get your yarn needle and just hand sew that spot. Now then, after this, you will do the very same thing on the other side so that we have closed up either side, and then we move on to closing up our shoulders. The shoulder close up is also going to be very simple. I have already closed up my side, this side. You're just going to get your yarn needle, put your yarn into the eyelet of it, and just start to hand sew the shoulder bit together. Make sure you're doing this with your work in out, okay? Hand sew it together, make sure it is very neat and you have closed up every stitch so we leave no gaps. All right, so do this all the way to the end of your shoulder, and you will do the very same thing on the other side of the shoulder. So let me get back to just show you how to polish your neckline. Okay, so at this point, this is how your dress should look like. Okay, initially I intended to just give you guys a tutorial of this dress before working the fringe, but then the pressure you guys put on me, I literally just had to have one video for almost everything in it. So yes, this is the front and back of our dress before we have polished our neckline. So let's move on to polishing the neckline. So now that we have everything complete, this is how my work looks like. I'm just going to turn my work to the back, and we're just going to find any point at the center of our back here. Insert our hook and yarn over, pull through, then chain one, just like that. And then here we work one single crochet into this very same stitch. Remember, we are working into the half double crochet posts. All right, so we work. I like to work into the post, unlike taking up the whole entire post. When you take up the whole entire post, it's going to create a hole. But when you go into the half double crochet post itself, like in there, and work your single crochet, work a single crochet in the next half double crochet post, one single crochet into the next half double crochet post, a single crochet in the next, one single crochet into the next. Are you seeing this? And single crochet in there, and single crochet. So this is what we are going to do all the way around until we come to the end. Do this all the way around, okay, until you come back right here and then work a slip stitch. So I'm going to meet you right there and show you what to do. So now, like you can see, I have gone all the way around with my neckline, polished it, and this is how it looks like. So I'm going to work one more row over this just to polish it a little bit more before I work some sort of like picotish stitch. I've already chained one. So you chain one, turn your work, and yeah, here we are going to work a single crochet, work a single crochet in the next, and single crochet in the next, and we're just going to keep working one single crochet into every stitch all the way around, okay, until we come to the end of our row. So I'm going to meet you at the end of the row, okay, and once you're at the end of the row, you obviously need to work a slip stitch. So go all the way around until you are back here, and then work a slip stitch in here, and then I'm going to get back to show you how to work the picotish design. So we are here at the end of our row. This is how our work looks like, and at this point we need a pop of color, so we are going to move on to our other yarn. Okay, so you can see we have a sleek neat neckline. I love this. It's actually less wider than it was initially, because I was really getting worried that we are having a very, very wide neckline, and I pretty much didn't know how to make it narrower. So now we are going to use this color, yarn over, chain one, into this very first stitch we are going to work a single crochet, and then you're going to chain 3, get into the single crochet post, or you can get into the very first chain stitch. I like to go into the single crochet post itself, but you can choose what you want to do. And in here you work a slip stitch just like that, so it creates this picot at the top. Okay, so we go again, work a single crochet into the next stitch, work a single crochet into the next stitch. Now the next stitch is this this stitch is the one that is going to have a picot, so we chain 3, and work a slip stitch. You can work the slip stitch into the very first chain stitch, okay, or you can work it into the strips of the single crochet stitch that you just worked, just like I did. Work one single crochet into the next stitch, that's without a picot. The next single crochet stitch is going to have a picot, so we go again, chain 3. Yes, once again you can work the slip stitch into the very first chain, but I like to go in here and I take up this and this. That's what I take up. If you take up this alone, it's going to put a strain onto the stitch, so you go like this and work a slip stitch, okay. So you can see that it gives you rounder and prickier picots. So once again we work a single crochet in the next stitch and then we work a single crochet in the next stitch. So this stitch is the one that is going to have a picot, so we chain 3 and work a slip stitch into that single crochet stitch just like that. Work a single crochet in the next stitch, do the very same thing for the next stitch, and then you work a picot over that single crochet stitch just like that. So this is what you're going to repeat until you come to the end of the row. You're going to repeat this for the entire neckline, okay, for the entire neckline all the way around until you come to the end right here. Then work a slip stitch and then work a slip stitch, cut your yarn, weave in your ends. Now After this, I'm going to meet you down here to do our wavy, yes, the wavy bit of this dress and the fringes. Okay, so all is done up here. This is what our work looks like. All right, now we are moving on to down here. Now what we are going to do down here is we're going to get chalk. You get a piece of chalk, any chalk. I was told about tailor's chalk. I got teacher's chalk because, oh, I didn't know about these things. But anyways, so you're going to get your tape measure and measure 5 inches or 5.5 inches from the hem of your dress going up, okay? And draw a straight line. And then this straight line is going to go all the way around your dress, okay? Just make sure it is up to 5 or 5.5 inches above the hem. So this is more like the height at which the wavy our wavy fringe is going to go. Now that we have drawn out where the height of our wavy fringe is going to go, okay, like you can see mine is 5 inches, we are now going to start drawing a wavy line pattern. So there is no way I can help you with this. You just have to have an artistic hand, but whichever shape that you come out with, please be confident that it's going to be perfect, because honestly I have seen Wool by Co try out other wavy patterns with this very same design on our page, and they all look beautiful. So don't try to be so perfect with your lines. Yeah, so draw them all the way around, and then let me get back to just show you how to attach fringe onto the demarcated wavy line. Also, when you're drawing, make sure that you don't go all the way down to the bottom. Just make sure that you keep up at least an inch, okay, an inch above the hem, and then go up with your wave. So do not by any means draw your wave to touch the hem of of your dress. Okay. Okay, so now you're going to cut up fringe that is up to 30 inches long. The fringe can be longer than that or shorter depending on what you want. But mine is 30 inches long, and when I folded it, I got 15 on either side, okay? So you fold it creating a loop at the top, all right? But overall length is 30 inches, okay? Now this is what we are going to attach onto the demarcated wave line that we drew. And now you're just going to be taking up 6 strands. Also, please make sure that you're working with light fingering yarn for your fringe, because it's going to be more, it's going to give you more movement because it is light. And also, I don't know, the finish of light fingering yarn with the fringe is really beautiful. So if you really have it and it's in your reach, use that for your fringes. Take up 6 strands of yarn and make sure you have that loop at the top, just like you can see, and make sure at the bottom it's of similar length, okay, right there. And then we are going to get our hook, insert our hook into any half double crochet post that is along the wavy line that we just drew. Honestly, this has no science, but you're just going to try make sure that you stay within the line. You could have crooked edges with your fringe, but don't worry, we are going to cover it up with the braided rope, okay? So don't try to be too perfect. That's what I mean. Yeah, you pull through the loop of your fringe or the strands of yarn, and then yarn over and pull through the yarn ends for those strands of yarn. Pull them through like that, and then pull everything to secure them or to attach them intact onto the dress, just like that. And this is exactly what we are going to repeat for each and every fringe portion that we need onto the wavy line that we just drew out. So once again, you take up 6 strands of yarn. The number of strands of yarn you take up is clearly up to you, because for me 6 strands of yarn gave me the thickness of fringe that I wanted. So yes, you can take more or less depending on what size of yarn you worked with for your fringe. So once again, you find your way into any half double crochet post that is in line with our wavy line, and pull through the loop of your fringe just like that, and then yarn over the yarn ends and pull them through that loop and pull to secure. So this is what you're going to repeat for all the fringe along that line, and I'm going to get back to show you what I have and then show you how we pick it up from there. So this is how our dress looks like, from the top to bottom. On the top and the bottom, I have finished to fit in the fringes following the demarcated lines that I had put. So I'm going to be working the braided rope that covers up the uneven edges of our fringe, and I'm going to be doubling my strands since it's light fingering yarn. Also, I'm going to be working with the puff stitch. To do that, you're going to make a slip knot. Chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, then yarn over into this fourth chain stitch from the hook. You're going to work an incomplete double crochet, so you pull up a loop. Yeah, so we are going to yarn over, insert our hook into that very same stitch and pull up a loop. That's 2 times. Yarn over, insert our hook in that very same stitch, pull up a loop. That's 3 times. Yarn over, insert your hook into that very same stitch, pull up a loop. That's 4 times. So at this point you should have about 9 loops on your hook. Okay, and then once again we are going to yarn over, yarn over, and then insert your hook into that very same stitch. Okay, and pull up a loop so that you have 11 loops on your hook. I'm not sure why I pulled through all the loops, but here what you have to do is you yarn over and pull through 10 loops, so you have 2 loops on your hook, then yarn over, pull through the 2 loops. Once again, yarn over into this very last chain stitch. You're going to do the very same thing. Yarn over, pull up a loop, so we have 3 loops on our hook. Yarn over, pull up a loop, now we have 5. Okay, yarn over, pull up a loop, now we have 7. Yarn over, pull up a loop, now we have 9. And yarn over, pull up a loop, now we have 11. Then yarn over and pull through all the 10 loops on your hook, so you have 2 loops, and then yarn over, pull through that. Okay, so we have worked 2 puffs, and we are going to keep working into these 2 puffs, but working in the center. So here we chain 3, turn your work, yarn over into the gap. You see this gap in between the 2 puffs is where you get into, and yarn over, pull through, and you're going to yarn over and pull through until you have 11 loops on your hook. Once you have 11 loops on your hook, you pull through all the 10 and have 2 loops on your hook, then pull through that 2. Okay, then go again, yarn over once again into this very same gap. You work your incomplete double crochets until you have 11 loops on your hook. Okay, so once you have 11 loops on your hook, you pull through all the 10, and then you have 2 loops on your hook and pull through that 2. So this is how we are going to create our rope. Okay, the rope that highlights the waves. Okay, so we chain 3, turn our work, yarn over, pull through. Now we have 5, 7, 9, 11, and then we yarn over, pull through 10. We have 2 loops on our hook, and yarn over, pull through that 2. See that? Then yarn over, we go again into this very same stitch. We have 3 loops, 5 loops, 7 loops, 9 loops, 11 loops. So we yarn over and pull through 10 so that we have 2 loops on our hook, and then yarn over and pull through that 2. So this creates this sort of rope. You see that? The rope is going to look like a braided rope, which we need. So we are just going to repeat this until we have a rope that is long enough to go up and down all the waves that we just drew on our dress. Okay? And now we are going to get our braided rope and yarn needle, and we are going to start hand sewing it above the fringes, just like this. So this helps to cover up all these shady edges that we have along our, so it covers that up and also gives us a very, very neat finish. Okay. Okay, so now you're going to get your braided rope and then pin it all the way up and down your waves. Okay, then get your yarn needle and start to hand sew it onto the outline of the fringes, and make sure while you're hand sewing, you make sure you're hand sewing into the middle of the two puffs. Okay, if you look closely, I kept my hand sewing into the middle of the two puffs, so in that way it's invisible to even tell that one just hand sewed the rope onto this. So after that, this is how your dress should look like. There is going to be a written pattern for this dress, but we also need to thank Wool and Co so much for this design. And also you, thank you so much for watching. Let me see you all in the next tutorial. Goodbye.